A brain walks into a bar and says, "I'll have a pint of beer, please." The barman looks at him and says, "Sorry, I can't serve you." "Why not?" asks the brain. "You're already out of your head." There's a man sitting at a bar just looking at his drink. He stays like that for half an hour. Then a big troublemaking truck driver steps next to him, takes the drink from the guy, and just drinks it all down. The poor man starts crying. The truck driver says, "Come on, man, I was just joking. Here, I'll buy you another drink. I just can't stand seeing a man crying." "No, it's not that. This day is the worst of my life. First, I fall asleep, and I'm late to my office. My boss, in an outrage, fires me. When I leave the building to my car, I find out it was stolen. The police says they can do nothing. I get a cab to return home, and when I leave it, I remember I left my wallet and credit cards there. The cab driver just drives away. I go home, and when I get there, I find my wife sleeping with a gardener. I leave home and come to this bar, and when I was thinking about putting an end to my life, you show up and drink my poison." A man walks into a pub and sits down next to a man with a dog at his feet. "Does your dog bite?" "No." A few minutes later, the dog takes a huge chunk out of his leg. "I thought you said your dog didn't bite." The man says indignantly, "That's not my dog." A man goes to a bar with his dog. He goes up to the bar and asks for a drink. The bartender says, "You can't bring that dog in here." The guy, without missing a bit, says, "This is my seeing eye dog." "Oh man," the bartender says, "I'm sorry, here, the first one's on me." The man takes his drink and goes to a table near the door. Another guy walks in the bar with a chihuahua. The first guy sees him, stops him and says, "You can't bring that dog in here unless you tell him it's a seeing eye dog." The second man graciously thanks the first man and continues to the bar. He asks for a drink. The bartender says, "Hey, you can't bring that dog in here." The second man replies, "This is my seeing eye dog." The bartender says, "No, I don't think so. They do not have chihuahuas as seeing eye dogs." The man pauses for a half second and replies, "What? They gave me a chihuahua?" A neutron walks into a bar. "I'd like a beer," he says. The bartender promptly serves up a beer. "How much will that be?" asks the neutron. "For you," replies the bartender, "no charge." A man goes into a bar and sits himself on a stool. The bartender looks at him and says, "What will it be, buddy?" The man says, "Set me up with 7 whiskey shots and make them doubles." The bartender does this and watches the man slug one down, then the next, and so on until all 7 are gone almost as quickly as they were served. Staring in disbelief, the bartender asks why he's doing all this drinking. "You'd drink them this fast too if you had what I have." The bartender hastily asks, "What do you have?" The man quickly replies, "I have $1." A serious drunk walked into a bar and after staring for some time at the only woman seated at the bar, walked over to her and kissed her. She jumped up and slapped him. He immediately apologized and explained, "I'm sorry. I thought you were my wife." You look exactly like her." "Why, you worthless, insufferable, wretched, no-good drunk?" she screamed. "Funny," he muttered. "You even sound exactly like her." A guy walks into a bar with his dog on a leash. The barman says, "Geez, that's a weird dog. He's stumpy-legged, pink, and doesn't have a tail. I bet my Rottweiler would beat the heck out of it. $15 is laid down." Out in the yard, the Rottweiler gets mauled to pieces. Another drinker says his pit bull will win, but the bet is $100. Another trip to the yard, and when it's all over, there are bits of pit bull terrier all over the place. The drinker pays up and says, "Say, what breed is that anyway?" The owner says, "Until I cut his tail off and painted it pink, it was the same breed as every other alligator." A man is in a bar and he falls off his stool every couple of minutes. He is obviously drunk. So the bartender says to another man in the bar, "Why don't you be a good Samaritan and take him home?" The man takes the drunk out the door into his car and he stumbles at least 10 times. They drive along and the drunk points out his house to the man. He stops the car and the drunk stumbles up the steps to his house with the man. The drunk's wife greets them at the door. "Thank you for bringing him home for me, but where's his wheelchair?" 10. One night, this guy comes into a bar and asks the bartender for a drink. Then he asks for another. After a couple more drinks, the bartender gets worried. "What's the matter?" the bartender asks. "My wife and I got into a fight," explained the guy. "And now she isn't talking to me for a whole 31 days. The bartender thought about this for a while. "But isn't it a good thing that she isn't talking to you?" asked the bartender. "Yeah, except today is the last night."